It's race day once again, and we are so glad to be with you tonight from Kansas Speedway for the Blu-Emu 200. And it is a picture-perfect night for racing. What a way to spend a Friday night, Mike.
I just love NASCAR racing on a Friday night. It's hot, it's sunny, this track's gonna be slick. Let's take a look at our Gander Trucks track description. 1.5 miles in length is the Kansas Speedway. You can see the turns, they're banked from 17 to 20 degrees. That means running from the bottom of the track all the way to the top. And if you notice, there's no traction compound, Jamie, so these guys will be screaming for grip.
No, it was a lot of fun to watch last night. And man, in my Truck Series debut, I feel like Larry Mack. I get to do the race analysis. It's a pretty short race, 134 laps or 200 miles. The stages are short too, the first two, 30 and 30. Last stage a little longer at 74. The pit window tonight is around 50 to 55 laps, guys.
Ross Chastain, the winner a year ago, as we take a look at our Blu-Emu starting lineups, and led by Christian Eckes, who we heard from, and the former series champ, Brett Moffitt, on the front row.
Rolling off on row 2, Todd Gilliland, a lot of pace this year. And the last time he was in that 51 truck, Brandon Jones drove to victory lane.
Zane Smith in row 4, Tyler Ankrum, Sheldon Creed, a winner this season. Ross Chastain, we mentioned, won this race a year ago. Stuart Friesen coming off a good strong run at Texas last week.
Derek Kraus is missing his high school graduation to race the doublehander here in Kansas this weekend.
I think it's going to be worth it for him.
That was a no-brainer, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
do you want to graduate, go to your graduation ceremony, or do you want to race? I mean, every good racer is going to make that decision.
Oh, Brennan Poole's shown some speed in that red truck, number 30. There's Jordan Anderson. Robbie Lyons with an opportunity in that 97 truck. Jen Jo Cobb, this is her home track, Jamie.
Local girl, yep. I used to race the same track as Jennifer Jo Cobb back at Lakeside Speedway in I-70.
19 rows of 2, 38 trucks getting ready to roll. We'll check in one more time before the green with Alan.
Well, Vince, ever since Todd Gilliland has been paired with new crew chief Chris Lawson, they've had one of the fastest trucks in the series. But last week at Texas, they did not have the finish to show for it. I talked to Todd Gilliland today, and he said what happened last week, he felt stupid. He made a mistake. You can see the crash there. He told me he'd been trying to pass Ben Rhodes for so many laps, and finally, he just forced the issue, put that 38 truck in the wall, and ended his night. He says he can't afford to waste any more of those opportunities, especially with such a good truck like he has tonight. We know he has the speed to win. We know he has the skill to win. He says he just needs a little patience to maybe get that win tonight, guys.
And you saw he does have a victory. Did that last year at Martinsville. Would like to add to that resume tonight. Who do you like tonight going to victory lane, Michael?
Well, with the risk of being told I have a man crush by Jamie McMurray, I'm going to go with Zane Smith. He's done so many fun things in this 21 truck. Took it to Kyle Busch and those boys at Charlotte Motor Speedway, 3-wide pass. I think Zane has the talent. The 21-year-old out of California can drive to victory lane tonight.
Yeah, and I'm going to pick a guy that's never won in this series, and here's why. When you look at Christian Eckes, he had that great run last week at Texas Motor Speedway. We talked about he finished second to Kyle Busch. But Kyle Busch Motorsports has produced 9 first-time winners in the series. And the track we're at today, Kansas Speedway, 6 of the 19 races have been a first-time winner. I think tonight, it's number 7.
Well, Ben Rhodes has been so close here before. In 2017, he had the race in the bag and had an engine failure in the final laps. It just broke his heart. Last year, he came back, finished second in the race. He has been close, but he hasn't gotten the job done. I think tonight just may be the night for Ben Rhodes. How about you, Alan? Who are you going with?
Vince, I'm taking the point leader, number 16, Austin Hill. Look, other than the engine issue last week in Texas, he has an average finish of 4.9. He's done everything well this year, except get that victory. That ends tonight, where he's going to victory lane. Austin Hill here in Kansas.
A couple of trucks carrying onboard cameras for us tonight, including the 23 of Brett Moffitt.
They're rolling down pit road, Vince, so they can practice their pit road speed, see what it's like on pit road with these trucks. And we're going to ride along with Brett Moffitt. And there's your guy, Jamie.
Yeah, going for Christian Eckes tonight. I just think everything lines up for him, Michael. The stats, the way that he ran last week, and you know how important momentum is in any type of racing.
I love these onboard looks, and we'll bring them to you throughout the course of the night. So we take a look at our playoff standings after 8 races. Remember, win and you're in, but only 2 of our championship contenders have managed to do that. Grant Enfinger's won twice. Sheldon Creed has gone to victory lane once.
And I talked about back there at the bubble events with champion Matt Crafton, high school graduate Derek Kraus. He's right there fighting for a spot in the top 10. And look at Tanner Gray. He's been impressive. No stock car experience. He was a drag racer, and he's just jumped in these trucks and made it happen.
Yeah, he's done a great job. But look at Stuart Friesen and Johnny Sauter. At the beginning of the year at Daytona, if we'd have told you they were going to be outside of the playoff bubble, would you have believed it?
Never. And they wouldn't believe it either.
Absolutely not.
Sauter had an engine issue last week, lost a bunch of ground in the playoff picture. In fact, was in the playoff rankings before falling out after that tough night at Texas last week.
Yeah, I talked to a couple of the crew chiefs over in Kansas, and they're concerned about the engines. A lot of time when there's extreme heat, that puts a lot of pressure on the engines. They run a little bit hotter than they're supposed to. The oil is hotter. It could cause parts issues, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. These engines are generally rock solid, but tonight, with all this heat, it could be an issue.
Well, and one of those that had an issue here back in 2017 was Ben Rhodes. More on the 99 with Alan.
These truck teams use spotters from the Cup Series, and that includes the 99 of Ben Rhodes. He uses TJ Majors, who usually works with Joey Logano. But the Cup Series race was last night, so some of the spotters didn't stay. So tonight, for Ben Rhodes, it's ThorSport official David Pepper that'll be in his ear as a spotter for Ben Rhodes. His teammate Grant Enfinger also in a similar situation. Something to think about, that communication line tonight.
How big of a difference is that for a driver, guys?
I think it's, Jamie, you can attest, I think it's huge here, Vince, because they're going to be 3 and 4 wide on these restarts. So you're really going to need to rely on and trust your spotter. And when it's a new voice in your ear, that can be a real issue.
Well, and you just develop relationships with spotters. They kind of know how you're going to react on the restart. They know the people around you, how they're going to react. I got to tell you, I'm going to call TJ out right now. He should have stayed and helped this guy tonight.
Hey, everybody's got to have a little time off.
That's true. That's true.
How about that Camry pace car? It looks nice, doesn't it, Vince?
Good look at it. The 2020 Toyota Camry leading the field tonight.
I remember when Toyota came to NASCAR, it looked like a grandpa's car. And now, after just 10 or 12 years in the sport, that's a real sporty looking ride.
And remember, it's the first of 2. We race tonight and then come back tomorrow afternoon and do it again. So 2 races in less than a 24-hour time frame. And we'll talk more about some of the things that the teams have to do in regards to equipment for tomorrow's race. But they will run the same trucks unless they're so damaged they have to go to a backup.
Interesting to see that Christian has chosen the outside lane. Last night, it didn't seem like there was a preferred lane. And we talked about this, Michael. If you know the guy in third on the inside is just going to push you, it seems like a good choice. But I think the outside is probably safe to start.
Christian Eckes outside, Brett Moffitt inside. They're waiting for the green flag, and it is in the wind, and we're racing at Kansas. Gilliland gave Moffitt a good shove out front.
Well, and I think that's a great choice if you're Todd Gilliland. Instead of pulling down and making it 3 wide, if you can just push the guy that's on the inside of the front row, I think it benefits not only him, but also you.
Oh, we got one
21.
sideways. Tyler Ankrum with a great save. And look at the big run on the top by Rafael Lessard in that black number 4 truck.
The rookie Lessard wasting no time trying to get to the front, and Matt Crafton going to the bottom. You can go well below that white line, and we'll see drivers cut it off many times throughout the course of the race tonight. Shortening up the track. Just underway here in Kansas with Brett Moffitt out front, Christian Eckes, Todd Gilliland.
Oh, the 2 truck was
Brandon
really
Jones.
Loose underneath Grant Enfinger right there.
That was close.
Oh, they both gathered it up.
Look at this mess. I told you they'd be 3 and 4 wide. I just didn't know it'd take them 3 laps to do it. I figured it'd be on the first lap.
Well, they're spending a lot of time avoiding one another. We've seen multiple near accidents already here in these first 3 laps.
Well, and you talk about it every week in all 3 of the big NASCAR series. It's so much easier to pass on these restarts when they're 2 or 3 wide and you get big runs. And just like we saw last night, when they get 2 or 3 wide, it stalls those trucks out, and you get a massive run behind them. We saw Ross Chastain get that run right there.
There's Chastain in that green truck right in the middle, the number 40 machine, winner of the last year at this race.
You know,
we saw issues on the first lap. Watch Ankrum. He gets down to the bottom, and Zane Smith takes the lane away. And wow, how Tyler Ankrum saved that truck, I don't know.
And And the 2 of Creed and the 98 of Infinger.
Yeah, the 98 was really tight on Sheldon's door, and it got him loose. Fortunately, they were both able to save it right there.
Good battle here. The 51, Brandon Jones on the bottom in that black 51 truck. He won his only series start so far this season. Winning at Poconos. You're right on board with this Kyle Busch Motorsports teammate, Christian Eckes.
And Christian's looks pretty committed to the bottom, Michael. And I think something that's going to be important for us to watch tonight is the top is going to be the best lane when the sun's out. The track's really slick, and at Kansas Speedway, the top is always good as the tires start to wear out. But I like that he's working on his truck on the bottom, because I think as it cools down, that's going to be the place you want to be.
I'm just glad we finally got them all going relatively straight, Vince. It's been a real mess. Listen to all the throttle he'll use, though, on this racetrack, Vince. Rolls out on entry, and then right back to the gas. He's battling side by side with Zane Smith in that 21 truck.
Yeah, he looked just a little bit loose there. Pretty calm on the wheel, but you saw him have a couple of corrections right in the middle of the corner, and a lot of that is because that truck is on his left rear, and that tend to get you a little bit loose as well.
A couple of high-profile rookies right there. The 21 of Zane Smith moving past Christian Eckes for 4th.
That's a power move, Vince. He got down on the bottom, was able to complete that move, and then put a couple of truck links on Eckes. 21, my pick, is looking pretty good early.
And really advantageous for the young Zane Smith to have a crew chief like Bono Mannion, who has so much experience at the cup level. And all of the crew chiefs at GMS have really taken advantage of the knowledge and the expertise of Bono, and it's been a big blessing for the 21 of Zane Smith, the youngster in his first year in the series.
Look at him rocket there.
He's plenty loose right now, and I'll tell you, as I've watched him this year, even in the Xfinity cars last year, he's a fast driver, Michael. I feel like every week you look at how quick he is. We got a pass for the lead right here with Todd Gilliland trying to work the bottom on Brent Moffitt.
Gilliland challenging, but Moffitt able to hold him off for now.
Moffitt with a new sponsor and colors on his 23 truck. Destiny Homes is on board, and that's helping this team make things work out in 2020. It hadn't been a great start to the season, Vince, but he's shown a little bit of pace lately. He was good at Texas, so hopefully this team can get back up to championship form.
Brett Moffitt, the 2018 series champion, a 4-time winner a season ago, working on his first victory possibly of the season. season. Todd Gilliland leading the way in the Gander trucks. Early laps here at Kansas Speedway. And this is how Gilliland took the lead, swiping it from the 23 of Brett Moffitt.
Yeah, he got down and below him, and that's impressive. Like I said earlier, some of the passes these guys are making on the bottom of the track, Jamie, that's very difficult because you want to get loose on the bottom of the track, but he makes it work.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talked about, I think the top is going to be better when the sun is out. So this is a big deal, I think, to make that pass on Brett Moffitt and do it on the bottom. Brett didn't put up a big fight right there. You see he's trying to work a little bit higher on the track as Todd Gilliland slides right up in front of him.
Well, the 26 of Tyler Ankrum, all kind of problems. He pitted once already because of a right rear tire issue, and now he's coming back again. They're going to the right side one more time.
They were trying to clearance that quarter panel on that right rear, and you can see there's some issues inside the fender well there, cutting those tires. So this is a big setback for this team.
Okay.
A lot of pace this year for Ankrum, but he's got issues here.
He said he had no brakes either, and that's a...
Yeah, that's just a product of the brake line getting ripped off from that tire being in there. When you have a flat, if you can get back to the pits without tearing the body up or having a major issue like this, it's a miracle.
How about radio from Ankrum's team, the 26?
I have no brake pedal. Keep pumping, truck. Get your brake pedal back. We need to pull it in the garage, Tyler. We got no brake line. We're going to come pull it right around here.
And you heard it. That's where they're going, right to the garage. They can go in and fix this and come back out because it is a mechanical issue. But remember, they're going to be laps down there, right on that playoff bubble, guys. A big setback for Tyler Ankrum right now.
Well, that's a great point, Alan. It is a big setback. He came in 34 points to the good tonight, and to be the first one out, that's a big blow. It's going to really alter the point standings.
You know, it's going to be fun for us to follow this bubble, but it's not going to be fun for these competitors trying to work their way into the top 10 and make the playoffs. You're graded on making those playoffs. That makes your season a success or not. So an issue like this, you can just feel those points slipping away.
On board with Christian Eckes, and you saw that truck in front of him. Derek Kraus just made the pass on Eckes, moving into 7th place. And Michael, I know Kraus has been a driver that you've really liked his development this season.
Hey, like sometimes guys just show up and they get it. And you can tell with this Bill McAnally team that Derek is one of those racers. I said earlier, he's supposed to be at high school graduation right now. Jamie, do you remember what you were doing when you were supposed to be at your high school graduation? I was racing at a quarter mile back in Kentucky. I wasn't at the Kansas Speedway. That's impressive.
Well, no, Michael, I actually was at my high school graduation is where I was that day, yeah. I didn't have any races planned. I think it's so cool that he's here, though, and it's a great story. You said it is a great kid, and what a better way to spend it than getting to have a doubleheader truck race at Kansas Speedway.
And that last time by, he was the 2nd fastest truck on the track, faster than our leader, Todd Gilliland. So good pace for this 19 Napa truck.
Oh, the 97, Robbie Lyons. Doesn't look like there was significant contact.
Lyons was running last truck on the lead lap, and bearing down on him was Todd Gilliland, and the truck got away from Robbie Lyons.
It's a good looking truck. Normally we see Jesse Little in the 97. Lyons making his 2nd start of the season and all by himself there.
And there went the leader around. So Lyons obviously pushed it, trying to stay on the lead lap. We got away from him.
So the caution out for the first time tonight. Saw the view from out the front windshield of Brett Moffitt.
Just supposed to drive into the smoke, Cole. And they'll be gone when you get there.
You hope?
That's what you hope.
Jordan Anderson in the 28 of Brian Doza.
Ooh, man.
I've seen a lot of guys get loose on the underneath side of other trucks.
Now, you talked about the damage a flat tire can do. This is great evidence of that, Jamie. It just ripped the brake lines off, knocked the inner fender panels out, so this team will try to get it repaired. Good look inside there at that rear suspension.
Some teams taking an opportunity to come to pit road, led by the 18 of Eckes, the 51 of Brendan Jones, the first one on pit road. All 3 KBM trucks, as you see Rafael Lassard, the first one to peel off.
Well, Jamie, you said it. These are short stages with 10 to go here. Some of these guys, championship contenders, are foregoing maybe getting any stage points here in this first stage to get that track position when we go back racing after the break. So obviously Brandon Jones is going to pit. He doesn't care about championship points. He just wants to win the race. And this is a great move by that team. You see Eckes there on the right of the screen, Ben Rhodes. All these championship contenders are taking a swing here at some differing strategy.
It's so much fun to try to figure out what the crew chiefs are thinking. I spent all week looking at this. They only have 4 sets of tires. You know the length of stages. And clearly with what these guys are doing now, they're going to stay out at the stage break and try to make it to the end of that second stage.
And with that second stage being 30 laps in length, shouldn't be a problem. Big problems for the 26 of Tyler Ankrum, however. Back at Kansas Speedway, the Gander trucks under caution. A look inside the truck of Brett Moffitt. And we talked about the fact this is a doubleheader weekend for the trucks, racing tonight and then again tomorrow afternoon. And some of the rules for the twin bill: major components can be serviced but not replaced. As you look at Kevin Donahue's 33 truck has come off track.
Scrub the wall there a bit, so that team will be able to beat out the fenders. And the truck of Tyler Ankrum, they can change those components a bit, but the broken parts, but they can't replace anything that NASCAR doesn't approve. There's Natalie Decker. How about Natalie? She's going to restart in the 11th position. I watched her progress through the first 20 laps there, and she had some great pace. Good to see her up inside the top 15.
Todd Gilliland is the leader. Radio from the 38 team.
I do think we take the top for this start. I don't know how good of a pusher the 21 is, but you got to take the top away from Moffitt. He obviously wasn't very good on the lower half of the track, so for some reason he gets a good push. You kind of know what you need to do in 1 and 2 to him.
Yep, 10-4. Yeah, I definitely think top.
And that breaks up the teammates too, Jamie. Brett Moffitt is teammates of Zane Smith. I would do just what Gillen there. Don't give that push.
It does, but we saw the lead come from the bottom of the last. So I think that's a tough balance. We're going to find out now, so we'll have an idea on sticker tires, and then on, you got a great jump right there on scuff tires.
Yep.
Back green.
21 did not get a good start at all right there.
Austin Hill is heating up Brett Moffitt down into turn 1. Moffitt holds him off.
Took a peek at it, but pulled right back in behind Moffitt.
Whoa, sideways truck. That was Tanner Gray off turn 2. All sideways as he exited. Here comes the 40 truck, the watermelon man. That's Ross Chastain. Really great start by Ross on this restart.
And you saw Matt Crafton have a huge run on the top. On old tires, I just think on those restarts, if you can get the clean air and get on the top, that's where you're going to find your most momentum.
On board with Eckes. Back in the 10th spot.
That's that truck of Gray just ahead of him that almost spun out. We'll see if he continues to be loose as the tires heat up.
Grant Enfinger on the top, the 2 of Sheldon Creed, and the 4 of Rafael Lessard.
Yeah, and this is our race of guys that have put tires on, so we know they're going to stay out. Christian Eckes, who we were on earlier, he's the farthest up of any of the guys that put tires on, and there clearly is a pretty big difference from the 30 or 20 lap tires they were on to stickers.
Eckes is up to 8th with that fresh rubber.
Look at Stuart Friesen around the top, trying to make some ground. Early in the race, Jamie, we didn't really see trucks way up next to the wall, but they're getting there now.
Now, and the key to running the top, and they talked about it last night on the broadcast, you have to enter high. You got to commit to running right against the wall on entry and getting back to the gas as soon as possible. Ross Chastain was really good at it last year.
Battle for second as Chastain is hounding Austin Hill. Chastain, as we've mentioned, won this race a year ago, runs full-time this season in the Xfinity Series, and is having a terrific year. 4th in points, 7th in the playoff standings. He will not run in the Gander Trucks race tomorrow afternoon because it precedes the Xfinity Series race, so wants to make sure he's fresh for the Xfinity Series contest.
And then that means we get Travis Pastrana.
Looking forward to that.
That'll be interesting.
Yeah, Travis is a one-man highlight reel himself. It'll be fun to watch him behind the wheel of this 40 truck.
Gilliland all over the back bumper of Chastain, and Matt Crafton is right there as well, 3, 4, and 5.
You talked about being committed, Jamie, to run that time. You don't ever have to question Ross Chastain's commitment. He's going to run that truck as hard as it'll go every lap of the race.
Yeah, and he's been interesting. If you think about it last year, it seemed like every time he got in this truck, he was a contender to win. Or when he got in the Xfinity cars last year, he was a contender to win. He hasn't quite been as fast as he was last year, but I think he's one of those guys, Michael, that when he gets that first win and he gets a taste of that he'll get on a roll.
2 laps remaining in this first stage. As always, the pits are closed in the final 2 laps of the stage as you're watching Chastain in the 40, Todd Gilliland in the 38. Gilliland's led 15 laps in this stage, but he's back in 4th right now.
We talked about Brett Moffitt being a little bit off to a slow start. He won a stage at Texas last week, and now he's on his way to winning another one. So I think this team might have turned the corner. He's got a lot of heat behind him in Austin Hill. You can see him going all the way off the road down there, Jamie. I think trying to break that draft off Hill.
Yeah, you know, Michael, everybody does that, but I don't know that it really does anything. I think that's one of those feel-good things. Now, he's getting close to the wall. Brett Moffitt's starting to test the waters of how high he can get. The one thing that I remember about Kansas Speedway, you have to kind of creep up on it because there's a little bit of debris up there. You got to get the track cleaned off just a little bit. We haven't seen guys right up against it, and I think if he can start entering just a little bit higher, he'll be able to carry a tremendous amount of momentum on exit.
GMS tends to be real strong at Kansas, and they're starting off quite nice with a Stage 1 win. Brett Moffitt, his 2nd stage win of the season. Top 10 of the championship contenders get points. Moffitt gets a playoff point as well. Brett Moffitt gets those 10 stage points and also 1 playoff point that he'll carry with him through the playoffs. Should he be a playoff contender, as we would expect he would be.
Keep those playoff points forever, Vince, like luggage. You don't unload them, and that helps you get to Miami to race, or excuse me, to Phoenix this year to race for a championship.
Here's a good look at Moffitt in that 23 truck, and as Michael mentioned, Destiny Homes, a different sponsor on the truck this week.
Tire's off really good. It's just this tire, whenever it gets rubbered in, is when it goes free. As soon as it starts getting dark again. Yeah, 10-4.
He's talking about the surface, Vince. The rubber gets dark. That means the rubber's laying down, and it makes Brett in that 23 truck loose.
Yeah, and they're on different tires than they've ever been on. To me, that's where the lack of practice comes in, because you don't really know what to expect. They've run this right side tire actually the last 2 weeks at Kentucky and Texas, but it's a different left side.
This group hitting pit road for the first time. Remember, we already had many takers that came to pit road under that initial caution, and Christian Eckes was the furthest up of that group in the 7th position. Let's check in with Alan.
And that's Austin Hill there on the top of your screen. He would love to run the high side, but can't, so expect an adjustment for that 16 truck. In the middle of your screen, the leader, Brett Moffitt. It's great when it's out front in clean air, but when it's in traffic, it's way too loose. A big adjustment, spring rubber, handling adjustment for the 23. The bottom of your screen, Todd Gilliland. They like where their truck is now, but the biggest issue, his cooling box not working. They're trying to load him up with some ice. It's hot here, guys.
Yeah, Gilliland looked like he got trapped in by the truck in front of him a little bit. Didn't quite fire off out of his pit box as aggressively as he would have liked. And take a look at it here as we get ready to go to break. Got Todd Gilliland. Had a little bit of issue because of that truck of Tate Fogelman in front of him. Continuing from Kansas in a moment. Hey, baseball is back. Fox Saturday Baseball coming up tomorrow with the Cubs and the Brewers at 1 o'clock Eastern. And going out west for the Dodgers and the Giants, the Yankees and the World Series champion Nationals, hoping for better weather than they had last night. That one called in the 6th because of rain, with the Yanks winning. That's Fox Saturday Baseball, 1, 4, and 7 Eastern. Celebrate the return with that special triple header tomorrow, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
That Fox Sports app is handy.
Love that.
Really
new
easy
app.
to operate. It's fancy. You want to see something fancy, Jamie? Watch this entrance to his pit by Ross Chastain. This is crucial for the team to be able to start their choreography and have a fast pit stop. Look, slides right to the stop in the perfect position.
Yeah, and Ross was at Chip Ganassi Racing when I was there, and he drove the pit stop car a ton and got to work on this. And when you see them lock the front tire up or the rear tires, the tire changers want that because they can focus on the nut that they're getting ready to hit. If it's slowly rolling there, they can't stab that gun on there. So it's critical to come in and be able to slide it, and he did a perfect job right there, Michael.
Oh, that was beautiful. That made me happy.
Tyler Ankrum, after having that right rear tire issue and all the damage it did underneath that truck, has come back out on track. So it's going to be a tough and long night for Ankrum. He's got a big hole to dig out of. Stage 2 underway with Ben Rhodes and Christian Eckes. That's Rhodes on the inside, Eckes outside.
We've seen the bottom win the first 2 restarts, but Christian Eckes chose that top again. We'll see if he can make it work right here.
Boy, the restarts are just crazy, 4 wide.
Jamie, is that fun or frustrating when you go 4 wide on a restart? Look at this mess.
I think it depends on which way you're going, Michael. If you're going forward, look at Ross Chastain cutting up through those guys in the back.
See, the front stretch, Vince, is totally in shade now. As that shade settles over the turns, these drivers will be able to get even more aggressive, if you can believe that.
Sunset 8:37 local time, so we're going to be done tonight before the sun sets.
But it'll get behind those stands and be able to provide some shade before this race is over. And that's a difficult thing for the crew chiefs to deal with too, Jamie, how you adjust your truck.
Well, it is, and it's frustrating as a driver because you're like, look, I drive really good over here where it's shaded, but when I get in the sun, it's extremely slick and not a lot of grip.
The 38 of Todd Gilliland has led 15 laps tonight. See how his truck handles back in traffic as
Man, Matt Crafton.
contact with Menard and with Crafton and Derek Kraus.
Yeah, I don't think he knew that he was up there.
That was crazy close.
Brett Moffitt had a great view of it, maybe a little too close. Austin Hill inside the top 5, makes the pass on Rhodes. Allen?
Yeah, interesting twist with this doubleheader, guys. Austin Hill during that pit stop wanted a tear off from his windshield, wanted a clean windshield, and his crew chief Scott Cividelli asked him, "Are you sure?" The reason why he asked Austin Hill that is because the trucks today and tomorrow, they have to have enough tear offs for both races, and if they have to add them after this race, that's counted as something that they cannot do, and therefore they'd have to start at the rear of the field tomorrow. So again, when Austin Hill came in and said, "Give me a tear off," Scott Cividelli said, "Are you sure?" And they didn't end up doing one because they got to save him, make them through both races this weekend.
Well, that's a pretty interesting rule. I would think they would let you add a tear off. I'm not sure the thought process behind that. But the one thing that happens here, especially with the sun going down, is that as the sun sets and it starts to reflect on the windshield, when the windshield gets pitted, it's really hard to see out of. So you got some rubber on it, and it's also like sandblasted. So, I mean, it sounds like you're going to have to be pretty selective on when you choose that tear off.
Scott Zipadelli was saying this week that you really got to look at these 2 races a little bit differently and what you bring to the track, the different tools that you bring and the different parts that you bring in anticipation of something happening that you have to repair your truck for the following race on Saturday.
Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking if I'm Austin Hill, I would have said, well, Scott, why didn't we put plenty of tear-offs on the windshield so I could pull one every pit stop?
What about our man, Ty Majeski? He's shown so much speed this year, made a couple of mistakes, got into the wall here and there, but he's shown pace. And Jamie, you know, as a racer, a guy, it's easier to slow a guy down than it is to speed him up. And Majeski has speed, and I'm loving what I'm seeing out of him tonight.
Yeah, absolutely doing a great job tonight. And I don't want to say that I've been disappointed in Ty, but I heard so many things about him the years leading up to him getting here. I know that Matt Kenseth got to run with him up in Wisconsin in some of the late model races and talked about, you know, how good he had been doing up there. But he's in good equipment, and I think that the wins that Ross Chastain had last year in the Nice Motorsports trucks, that's a confidence builder for a guy like Ty Majeski when he gets in to the same equipment.
Well, and Phil Gould, who was the crew chief for Chastain for all those wins, is the crew chief on this 45 truck of Majeski.
Zane Smith with a move to the bottom of the track. You can hear Eckes out of the gas there.
About halfway through this second stage. Zane Smith running third. Here's a good look at that Matt Crafton and Derek Kraus. A little exchange of paint out the window of Brett Moffitt.
Whoa!
Got a handful of different leaders tonight, and right now it's Austin Hill out front of the Blu-Emu Maximum Pain Relief 200. Just past the halfway point here in stage 2. We had a half a dozen drivers who took opportunity of a caution and came to pit road on lap 20. The rest of the field came on lap 33, but we're not seeing a difference in tires at all.
No, but we've seen some fancy driving by Austin Hill and Zane Smith. They're 1 and 2, Vince. They're the ones that have really taken advantage of the new tires. Other guys haven't been as fortunate. Think about Brett Moffitt. Moffitt won that first stage. He pitted, got stuck back in traffic, and now he's only in the 13th position. So obviously his truck isn't as good in traffic, whereas Hill was able to overachieve.
Issue for the 52 possibly, Alan?
Yeah, Stuart Friesen says something in the rear is flat, but they can't tell which side, so they got to change 4 tires to make sure they find the problem. They're looking for it now. They think it could be the right rear. The original call was for 4 tires. You can see it's a slow stop on the right now. Hopefully with 2 tires, right rear, they can fix the problem.
Friesen was running 6th.
Yeah, they're going to go with 4 tires. You can see there, Vince, that the right rear was flat. So probably wasn't necessary to change the lefts, but maybe safety, Jamie?
Well, I think once you got them on pit road, they know that they've lost a lap there. You might as well just go ahead and put 4 on. They're going to be able to do the wave at the stage and get one of those laps back. What is a tough year it has been for Stuart Friesen and that team. I spent an hour talking to Trip Bruce on the phone this week, and he ran me through everything that they've been through with trying to start basically build a brand new team this year, guys, and that all started in January, and the fact that the coronavirus hit in March really hindered the progress of wind tunnel time and not having practice and just trying to get everything going. It's been such a struggle for the 52.
Well, they didn't even have tools to work with when they, beginning of the year.
Right. I mean, he said that I think on Christmas Day that he was buying a hauler, and why he was buying a hauler, he bought the shop and everything in the shop where he bought the hauler. And he said the biggest thing though is just the lack of practice, the switch to a Toyota from being in Chevy last year. And I didn't realize this, but they were out of the GMS stable last year. And it was actually even some of their employees. It wasn't just engineering help and just trucks. I mean, it was everything. And so it's been a little more of a challenge, but I think that the biggest thing is just that the lack of wind tunnel time and practice.
On board with Brett Moffitt, speaking of the GMS stable, and that was Grant Enfinger just ahead of him.
Austin Self, another strong run, Vince. He's around Enfinger in that 22 truck.
Self just outside the top 10.
Runs down off the racetrack. The reason why you do that when you're battling, you just want to get away from that guy so he can't side draft you. But like Jamie said, it very rarely shows much dividends, but you got to give it a try.
Yeah, and Brett's running higher than both of these guys, and he got a really big run off of turn 4, but Grant Enfinger blocked him on the front stretch where he couldn't get to his outside. But he's the only guy I see really making that really high lane work. But Michael, you said it, the tires just don't seem to be as big of a deal as we thought they were going to be, especially considering how hot it is out today.
5 laps left in stage 2. How about that 23 truck, Alan?
Yeah, initially struggled off that last restart. Remember, Austin Hill and the 23 of Brett Moffitt on the same pit strategy. Austin Hill's in the lead. Brett Moffitt is back there in the teens right now. Got just way too tight to start off on this run, but he says it's coming back to him. You can see him now trying to pass the 98 of Grant Enfinger.
Vince, check out this driving style. Brett drives one-handed. He's got that right hand off the wheel, working the left hand, and then puts it back on the straightaway. I mean, Jamie, it seems like you'd want both hands in the corner, maybe one on the straight. He does it the opposite. Watch this driving style. Just lets that wheel slide through his right hand.
That's I've never noticed that before, and I've watched a lot of in-car with him, but that's super interesting because you're right, most guys use 2 hands in the corner and only one on the straightaway to kind of relax, but that's an interesting take on that. It's like he just pulls with his left and lets the right slide around the wheel.
And Vince, the driving style is a lot like a golf swing. You see 2 or 3 different guys hit a golf ball. They can all hit it really well, but they do it differently. Drivers just have different tendencies inside of that car, or truck in this case, to operate and to get their most performance. And Brett obviously has found a way there to drive one-handed that makes him comfortable.
Well, and the thing that I noticed when I had in-car cameras when I drove is I had tendencies I didn't even know. Like I used to relax my left hand on the leg brace, and someone asked me why I was doing it. I didn't even realize that I did it because it's just what feels natural to you.
Good look at Ben Rhodes and Zane Smith running 2nd and 3rd, talking about getting the most out of their equipment. These two have done a great job tonight.
Yeah, Rhodes is closing in on our leader. I think he's going to run out of time, but he's closing in. Fastest lap last time around was that 99 truck. You can see Austin Hill just ahead of him there.
Final couple of laps here in stage 2. We anticipate everyone will come to pit road and get fuel and tires.
But then based on what we're seeing there, he's almost 3/10 quicker than the leader right now. When we get into this final stage, we're going to have possibly a longer run, and I would like to be good on the long run here.
Chastain being challenged by Eckes, and Eckes grabbing that spot.
Yeah, I think that was the old crossover. Ross tried to cut Christian off, and Eckes said, I'm having none of that.
Yeah, Chastain, the stage points aren't as important to him. He's not running for the championship, but Eckes is. Maybe more track position desire for Chastain as Austin Hill on the final lap here of stage number 2, bearing down on his first stage win of the 2020 campaign and his first playoff point of the season. Austin Hill, the winner in stage 2. Crew chief Scott Zipadelli and his driver Austin Hill, 4-time winner a season ago, looking for a championship in 2020.
what lap will they restart the stage?
Remember, tomorrow we're going to do it again. More Gander trucks from Kansas. Coverage begins with race day, 1 o'clock Eastern, right here on FS1.
Johnny Bench got us going. We're going to have a little double header. I love it.
Anticipating pit stops here for everyone as you look at the points accumulated tonight. Austin Hill has scored the most. And remember, Tyler Ankrum with a tough night. He was 8th in the playoff standings, 8 out of 10 that go to the postseason or compete for a championship, and he had a right rear go down much the way Sheldon Creed did last week that put him in a deep hole. Creed was not really able to recover last week, spent most of the night running 27th, 28th, and did end up managing to finish up 16th.
Vince, we saw the entry and replayed at Mark Smith, our video team. They replayed Ross Chastain entering his pit. Let's see how the young racer, Majeski's able to do so. Much more, very efficient. He stopped properly, got that wheel stopped, spin turning, like Jamie mentioned. He just didn't get in there quite as hot.
Yeah, not quite as quick, yeah.
Alan?
Your leader, Austin Hill, on the top of the screen there. He says he can't pick up the throttle coming off 3 and 4. Wants to get on it faster. A quick air adjustment for the 16. The middle of your screen, 99. Ben Rhodes says it's a little too loose, but he likes it that way. So just a small adjustment. He thinks the track can come to him. And the 21 on the bottom of your screen, Zane Smith, another good run, but says he's just way too free. An air adjustment for the 21.
See the movers and shakers on pit road. The final stage, 74 laps. We'll get after it. Take you to the checkers when we come back. Kansas Speedway, Kansas City, Kansas, 13 miles west of Kansas City, Missouri, here for the Blu-Emu 200, and looking forward to a week of Race Hub as well.
NASCAR Race Hub is geared up and running on all cylinders. Monday, the Race Hub team's back to break down all the high-speed action from Kansas, and we'll go one-on-one with this weekend's winning drivers. And Tune in as the hub will get you set for next weekend's Cup Series race at New Hampshire. The Race Hub team will make their predictions on which driver will make it to victory lane and take home one giant lobster. NASCAR Race Hub, weeknight 6 p.m. Eastern, only on FS1.
And hearing that news about New Hampshire, looking ahead to next weekend, was sorry to see the passing of Bob Baer, the former owner of New Hampshire Speedway.
Yeah, what a great man. Bob was my friend. He single-handedly, I believe, brought big-time NASCAR to the Northeast. I mean, he built the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. I drove for his brother Dick, and we were at Daytona one year, didn't have a sponsor, and Bob said, "You think you can make the damn race?" And I said, "I think I can." He said, "Well, if you do, we're going to sponsor that car." He's just a real friend and fan of the sport, and he will be dearly missed.
Well said. Cars in turn 4 as we anticipate the start of the final stage here tonight. Ben Rhodes and Christian Eckes on the front row. That's Rhodes on the outside, getting a good shove from the 16 of Austin Hill. Now Hill's going to make it 3 wide, and Zane Smith trying to push the 18 of Eckes.
How about 4 wide, Vince?
Don't make a mistake now. Gather them all up.
We talked about this earlier. If you're in that second row, you're almost better off to push the guy in front of you. You saw Austin Hill trying to make it 3 wide, and it hurt him more than it helped him. You're almost better off just to push the truck in front of you until you get single filed out.
Yeah, Rhodes has slipped all the way back to 8th. He started on the front row. There he is in the 99, right in front of Moffitt.
When you're in a position like Ben Rhodes, Vince, you're just hoping that guy behind you will give you a push, like Jamie said, and not pull out and hurt you. But everybody's trying to fend for themselves, and you can see right there, up the hill goes Rhodes, cuts off Enfinger, and Enfinger in that silver truck to the right lost all of his momentum.
Yeah, Enfinger, his teammate, maybe cut him a break there.
You could see how loose Ben Rhodes was right there. That's part of the reason he's probably so good on the longer run.
I think how loose they all are. Man, a lot of slipping and sliding on these restarts when they're all bunched up, 3 wide racing. Fun to watch, but it's probably frustrating to be in the middle of all that.
Crafton in that neon yellow 88, back in the 7th spot, while Zane Smith and Christian Eckes battle for the lead at the front.
It's our picks. Both of us. We're looking good right now.
Speak for yourself.
Where's your pick at?
Well, it's not over.
It's
yet.
early, right? Yeah, it's early.
Lucky number 13 position.
Yeah, Christian Eckes has just been too loose all night long. We've been watching him, and his truck doesn't seem to tighten up enough. But his crew chief has been really good at this track, so you know he's going to get him tuned up for this last run.
You know, Vince, we talked early in the race about Christian Eckes and the pressure of driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Rafael Lessard's a young man that's had a struggle in 2020. It sure is nice to see him up in the top 10. He's running the 6th position right now. This is a difficult track, really loose conditions, as we've talked about. You got to be versatile with your lines in the corners. He's doing a great job, and this is a kind of momentum builder. You can have a race like this, and it can positively affect the rest of your season. Good to see for that young Canadian.
Yeah, his best finish is 11th this season, working with veteran crew chief and championship crew chief Mike Hillman Jr. Going to these tracks for the very first time, it's extremely challenging for these young drivers, and Lessard just 19 years old, right there on the tailgate of another teenager.
And there's the man. Austin Hill lost a couple of spots on pit road, but that truck just doesn't seem to struggle, Alan, like the other ones. They're not as loose as we were looking at the other racers.
Yeah, the 18 been loose all night, but you're looking at the 16 of Austin Hill right there. You know, there's at least one more pit stop likely during green flags to come up, and Austin Hill radioed to his crew. He said, hey, when I come down pit road next time, ooh, good battle on the track right there. As the 18 of Christian Eckes, a little contact between the 18 of Christian Eckes and Austin Hill. But Austin Hill told his team, he said, you got to do some more work for me on pit road. Listen.
I think I hurt us a little bit too. I kind of stopped a little bit too far to the right, just trying to help my exit there. Make sure when I come in next time, since it's going to be green flags, that you're waving that 16 really good. The 2 behind us also have yellow, so it kind of sort of blends in.
And Jamie, Michael, maybe you can talk about this. You know, Austin has a pretty distinct sign you can see right there. It's a Doughboy, but at pit road speed with everything going on, when you're coming down pit road, it can be hard to see sometimes with a bunch of stuff in front of you.
Michael, Alan made me a little nervous there. He asked for you to help us out, and all I could see was that doughboy zoomed in real tight. And I'm like, Alan, I don't believe we're going to be able to help you back here.
Well, Alan, I'll tell you, we talked about it earlier with Ross Chastain's perfect entry to the pit box. I mean, that's what you have to do if you're going to come in with the lead and leave with it. And you heard Austin explaining why he didn't do his job perfectly. You just learn to get better every trip down pit road, but getting to your box is as important as any part of the pit stop because it starts the team on their way to making a great stop.
Well, that doughboy pit sign is a play on the body shape that Austin Hill used to be.
You said it.
Used to be.
Yeah.
Before Daytona last year, he was up to 255, and now he's down around 225. He has really gotten in the weight room and taking care of his business, not just with his nutrition, but his physical fitness as well. How about Johnny Sauter up into the 5th spot? How in the world is he 5th, Michael?
Well, that's a racer. He's trying to explain to the team what all he needs to be first. We'd heard Johnny Sauter on the radio last week at Texas when his motor broke. He said, we could have won this race tonight. We have a great truck. That didn't happen, and now he's struggling with the balance. And Jamie, how frustrating, what do you think it's like for Johnny Sauter, 42-year-old racer, veteran, and a kid that's graduating high school today, just passed it? That's got to make it be even more aggravating.
Yeah, and I think if this is the first truck race you've ever tuned into, you'd be like, man, he's really mad. But his crew chief, Joe Shear's been with him forever, and he knows that's just how Johnny talks.
Zane Smith out front here in Kansas, hoping maybe tonight is his night, maybe his first career win. Zane Smith out front. He's no stranger to the lead. This is the 6th out of the 9 races that he has led at least a lap, and Zane has led 13 of them tonight.
I'm telling you, though, got a problem.
Yellow is out. Caution on the racetrack, and it's the 7 of Corbin Forrester. Forrester back after did not run last week at Texas, was back in the 30th spot at the time of this contact.
Looks like the right front tire is down, Jamie. Generally, that means maybe it went down entering the corner and into the outside wall he went. I think we're
right there, you know.
Yeah.
We're right there on that spot where teams are in their window to come and get that final pit stop.
Did I see that Brandon Jones's team just gas on that last pit stop and maybe has an extra set of tires, because the top teams I think are mostly out of tires.
Yeah, but tires haven't really made it. No, they've got one set after. They'll take this set would be their last
right.
set. Yeah.
If they pit here and take tires, that's a long way to go to the checkered. And if a team has saved a set, that could be an advantage. But you said it, Vince. We haven't seen much difference with these new tires tonight.
There's the 16 team of Austin Hill. Scott Zipadelli, the crew chief, telling me this week that they just want to win. They've been runner-up a couple of times. They're the regular season points leader. That brings, if they would win the regular season points title, that brings 15 playoff points. But they want to get to victory lane. They've been all around it this season, but haven't finished the job.
I think it's funny that we sit in here and we talk about how tires don't mean anything, and I feel confident that if we went to any truck's radio and they said, do you want tires? Everyone would say, hell yeah, I want tires. Yeah, they're going to make a difference. So much different when you're inside the truck or the car versus being on the pit box or watching on TV.
I just think this is an interesting part of the point in the race, Jamie, because if you put on that last set of tires here, that's a long way to the checker.
Yeah, you got to pit here because they can make it to the end now. It's they can go 50, 51, maybe even a little bit longer on fuel, and so the guys are going to be able to make it now. And I mean, honestly, I think you put your tires on and you live with it right now. I think I would take my chance.
Yeah, I learned that they could go 50 to 50 lap in your race analysis that you did prior to the show.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, great work.
Yeah, thanks.
Corbin Forrester, by the way, got out of his truck and walked to the ambulance, so good news. No issue there for Corbin as you look at our Xfinity fastest lap of the race.
That belongs to one Brett Moffitt. You hear him shutting off the engine. It doesn't matter how much fuel you got in your truck. You want to coast as much as you can just to save a little bit.
Yeah, the other reason that we see guys shut the engines down is they're trying to cool them down. One of the things we learned, over the years when you're saving fuel is that you can maybe put a little more tape on. You can shut the engines down, you coast as long as you can, and it actually cools the engines down under caution.
Hey, while we're got the onboard shot there of Brett Moffitt and we see that Chevrolet logo, I want to mention John McQueen passed away, a longtime engineer and a significant contributor to Chevrolet's success through the years, and send our condolences to John's family and the entire Chevrolet family, and even those in the garage certainly familiar with John. He worked at one point as crew chief for Kevin Harvick in the Truck Series, but worked with Mike Bliss, Andy Houston, Travis Kvapil, Musgrave.
Yeah, it's tough when you lose a member of the family, and when you work in the sport in the Truck Series, as long as he becomes family to the guys down on pit road.
And it's across all manufacturers. We mentioned Chevrolet there, but you said it, Mike. It is a family. Everyone in the sport. When we lose one, it hurts everybody. Pit stops coming, and they will be the final stops in most instances, the final stops of the night, we anticipate. So track position is always key. Don't want to have a problem here on this final stop, even though we've got 50 laps left to go in the race. Don't hurt yourself.
That's right.
Don't beat yourself here on pit road.
You've got the perfect spot to be in if you're Zane Smith. You've got nobody in front of you. You can get hard into your box, slide to a stop, let your team do their work. You don't want to let Austin Hill get out front, I don't believe. He's got the fastest truck.
Yeah, and if I'm Austin Hill, I know that he wants to get in a little bit harder, but don't overachieve here. Don't slide through your stall and try to get too much. Just make a little gain here. He probably has the best truck tonight of a balance in the short run or the long run, so don't make any mistakes right here.
Let's go downstairs to Allen as he awaits some of the big hitters.
Yeah, and the popular word down here is loose. Austin Hill on the top of your screen says looser and looser. It's even looser than when we started this race, so they want to tighten him up in the 16. In the middle of your screen, the 88, another good run for Matt Crafton, who picked up 30 points in the standings last week. Remember, this is the same truck they finished third with in Kentucky. A little loose with 4 tires for the 88. And on the bottom of your screen, the leader, Zane Smith, he says he needs help getting into turns 3 and 4. A little loose and an air pressure adjustment for the 21.
Ross Chastain, first one off pit road. Boy, it is bogged down there at the front of the pack, and in fact, Sheldon Creed could not get out of his pit box because of the truck in front of him.
Playing those games, Vince, trying to get your line that you want. That's what happens. Contact.
Stuart Friesen gets the free pass as we get ready for this restart. With less than 50 to go at Kansas. Matt Crafton in the 88. Getting a little help from the 16 of Austin Hill, and then that green truck is Ross Chastain.
Ross had a lot of wheel spin on that restart. And I hope that somebody's watching this broadcast, because the inside lane keeps winning and the leader keeps choosing the outside, Michael.
I hope Ross didn't, or excuse me, Matt didn't jump too soon. NASCAR will take a look at that, and look who's rallying to the front. I think it's been the fastest truck all night is Austin Hill, but look at the strong runner on the top for Matt Crafton.
Crafton to the front, but Hill trying to fight him off. Can Austin Hill get there and close the door? Hill has led the most laps, seems to have the strongest truck. He's been able to put it high or low and has had speed in every location, but right now Crafton giving him a run.
Yeah, that middle groove seems to be really good when they get to the corners, and Brett Moffitt's going to make it 3 wide on these guys right now. Ooh, Matt Crafton is loose. Heard Alan say that everybody's loose tonight.
Here comes Moffitt right up to the back bumper of the 88 of Crafton.
Moffitt was the first one to really go up next to the wall and make some progress, Jamie, and he's doing it right now again, making some good time up high.
Crafton closes the door, but Hill coming right back.
Well, I would have wanted to stay in the middle lane. I would have kept the Austin Hill on the bottom right there, because that middle lane seems to be the preferred groove right now. And Brett is making that top work, Michael, but it's so far around that he gets the big run on exit, but he's losing so much ground right through the middle.
Well, Crafton's got a handful, nearly got into the wall, as not only did Austin Hill get around him, but Brett Moffitt got around him as well. Moffitt now challenging for the lead on the bottom.
But Moffitt's truck looks really good right here.
Oh, he clears it.
Moffitt's got it, but Austin Hill crosses over.
What a race these two guys are having.
Both four-time winners this season ago, both trying to get their first win of 2020.
You know, the one thing I noticed last night in the Cup Series race is that the top of 3 and 4 seemed to be a lot better than the top of 1 and 2. You can see those guys generate a lot more speed in 3 and 4. It's almost like they wanted to run the middle to the bottom in 1 and 2 and then go back to the top in 3 and 4.
Just as you said, dancing sideways. Moffitt takes the lead, use that bottom in 1 and 2. Be interesting to see if he uses the middle in 3 and 4. Decides to go low and throw the block.
That truck is all over the place. Look at that. You think he's doing that one-handed?
I think he is.
I think he is.
He should get some style points.
Moffitt won stage 1, Austin Hill won stage 2. Both trying to get their first race win of the season.
There he is, Jamie, one-handed.
That is incredible. I've never noticed that before.
Shouldn't he throw his other arm up on the console or something?
That's unbelievable. I'd love to ask him about that.
We got a radio. You want to hit him up?
I would wait till caution.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Hey, Grant Infinger is...
yeah.
How about it, Alan? Infinger making a charge.
Yeah, doing great tonight, and kind of an odd season for Grant Infinger. He's got the 2 wins, but other than that, it's kind of been feast or famine for that 98 team. But you could see him challenging, trying to get this lead up here. And I asked him about the struggles when he, hasn't won so far this season. And he says they don't really think they've been off in terms of speed. If anything, their last week at Texas was maybe their worst week, and they still got a 7th place out of it. So, no, staying calm, staying cool, running like they should right now. He thinks they can go out and win this race.
Yeah, certainly easier to do when you've got a couple of wins in the bag, but just one other top 10 this season. So they do want to be up in that top 5 a little more consistently.
What a race. I mean, watching Brett Moffitt, Austin Hill has no idea what lane he's going to run, because Brett runs the top of one end, then he runs the middle, then he runs the bottom. And it's hard when you're that guy in second place. You're trying to get some, clean air on the nose of that truck, but you don't know where Brett's going right now.
And then you look in the mirror, and here comes Grant Infinger making
get
things...
away from me. I'm trying to pass the lead.
Making things even more difficult. What a great run for that 98 truck.
1, 2, 3, Moffitt, Hill, and Infinger. And now Hill going to challenge for this top spot again.
It looked like Brett did not want to give him the outside right there. He saw the big run that Austin Hill had, and he went ahead and gave him the bottom. So it seemed like he thought he'd be more comfortable on top as he crosses back over. Boy, it's so dangerous when the truck on the outside comes down to side draft and the truck on the bottom moves up. And we saw that earlier with the 18 and the 16 trucks, and they collected each other on the backstretch.
Hill again to the front, and now Infinger sizing up Moffitt in the 23 for that second position. Here comes Matt Crafton as well, sneaking into the conversation in 4th.
Yeah, Crafton's loving seeing this side-by-side battling. He was the fastest truck on the track last time by, so he's closed in on our leaders. Right behind Crafton, Zane Smith is closing as well.
We've heard so many of the drivers talk about how loose their trucks are today. How different would you expect it to be tomorrow, Mike?
I think it'll be a lot the same. It's going to be sunny. There'll be more sunshine on the track, but the ambient temperature I don't think will have gotten the surface as hot as it was when we started tonight. I don't know that it's going to be much different.
Yeah, it'll probably be just a little bit slicker, and I tend to find that it you're a little bit tighter with more sun being out. Typically when the sun goes down, the trucks get a little bit looser. Alan, you got something down there?
Yeah, just a note on the 16 of Austin Hill there. He just had an interesting thought about the lack of practice. We've heard him tonight say loose, 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 but they keep adjusting on it and keep maintaining that speed in the truck. He says his communication with crew chief Scott Cipodelli, he's had to force it to work on it because there is no practice. There is no time to improve these trucks during a practice session. So they've had to work on their communication during races and that language that they speak to each other. So when they say something, they can make the truck faster. during a race. We're seeing that happen today.
Well, and that mask probably hides some of the nervousness that you might see otherwise on the face of Scott Zipadelli, even with his man out front. Austin Hill leads with 35 to go at Kansas. The Blu-Emu Maximum Pain Relief 200 from Kansas Speedway. And last year's race winner, Ross Chastain, with a big issue. He's already been to pit road once, and now he's coming back again, Alan.
And Vince, for the second time, he has a right rear flat, so they tried to, solve the problem by putting new tires on it the first time, but clearly there's a bigger issue there, so he's coming in once again. He's slow on the racetrack.
Well, and look, Vince, you can see it right there. It's the same problem we saw with Tyler Ankrum earlier in the race. He had that flat, and the carcass got stuck on inside the housing when they put the other tire on, and now it's rubbing. So they're going to have to come back in and pull all that off and hope that it didn't get the brake line like it did on the 26 earlier.
Yeah, and Ankrum 22 laps down after having to spend significant time in the garage. Chastain not going to go back-to-back in his wins here at Kansas tonight. Who's it going to be? 30 to go, and we're going to crank it up from Kansas Speedway.
I was afraid of that.
on board with Brett Moffitt, and he's in third, while Grant Enfinger is in second, and Austin Hill is in another zip code. He has checked out, better than 2-second advantage.
I was just telling Jamie that I was afraid of that. I don't know if
I heard that.
Did I say that out loud?
You did.
I was thinking it.
Be careful with that, will you?
Once he got the lead, he's been the fastest truck. He's been able to take command of this race, and no one can match his lap times right now. So it'll be interesting to see, because sometimes as the tires heat up, they get more air pressure in them, your truck changes, but right now he's in a really good spot.
Well, and if this runs green to the end, it's going to be the longest green flag run of the night. And I think that Grant Enfinger and also Brett Moffitt are comparable lap time. The problem is you see right here, they're racing each other, and every lap that they race side by side, the 16 is 3 or 4 tenths quicker, and he keeps getting farther out. So it's hard to want to get in line, but as long as these guys are racing each other, they're never going to run him down.
Well, it's been another tough evening for the 52 of Stuart Friesen. More problems, Alan.
Yeah, bad night getting worse for the 52. Remember, they're already in a tough playoff position. They had to come down once, change those right sides, lose some laps. They actually got one back, and he was just on pit road again. He thought he had another tire going down, so they came in, changed them. But then the crew chief came over the radio and said, no, the tires were good.
It's crazy what can happen in a year, guys. You think about Stuart Friesen last year, legitimately had a shot to win this race. Ran out of gas with just a couple of laps to go, and then the frustrations. Those frustrations that you see are what make winning feel so good.
Yeah, you want to talk about bad luck? Jimmy Johnson's on the phone. He'd like to have a word with you.
Exactly right.
We can see damage along the right side of that Friesen truck, so he's been into the outside wall, and certainly if he flattened out that right side, it'll make it drive like it's got a flat tire.
And speaking of issues, the 38 of Todd Gilliland, who led 15 laps earlier tonight, has had a good truck, but he had a uncontrolled tire penalty on that most recent pit stop. And the 51 of Brandon Jones was penalized for speeding upon entry to pit lane on that last sequence as well.
How do you explain Brandon Jones? I mean, so fast in that 51 truck generally, but tonight we haven't even talked about him. There he is down into turn 3, but certainly no pace, riding in 16th position.
Making his second start of the season. Of course, his other start was at Pocono, and he went to victory lane, scoring his first Gander Trucks victory. And again, the battle for second between Moffitt and Enfinger. Moffitt on the inside, Enfinger outside. They're just under 3 seconds behind the leader, Austin Hill. Key to position themselves, though, in case we would have a caution and then a potential restart that would follow.
Well, and we've seen how loose these trucks are, so it wouldn't be too hard to believe somebody might, as you see Moffitt wiggling through turns 1 and 2, the third place truck.
Even the good trucks are wiggling.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, and guys, if we get a caution, no one has any tires left. So these guys are going to have to restart on the tires that they have on the truck right now. And if you think back to the beginning of the race, Todd Gilliland was the dominant truck. And we had that restart on scuffed tires, and he wasn't as good when they restart that way. So if I'm Austin Hill, we want this to go green and not have any cautions.
Gander RV and Outdoors, 20 to go. 20 laps left at Kansas Speedway. Austin Hill trying to snag his first victory of the season. And these two are continuing to battle for second. Grant Enfinger has it. Brett Moffitt wants it.
You would think as many times as these two have passed each other. Look how close he's getting to the wall. See that? Ooh, there's some lap time right there when you can get that tight to the wall.
And also momentum. That's where that lap time comes from. You come off that 4th turn, couldn't make a run there, but that really sets you up to go down the front straightaway with a lot of momentum.
Yeah, and Grant Enfinger knew that. He's going to take that line away from Brett Moffitt. But I tell you, I feel like every time as we watch these trucks, you're like, well, as soon as Brett clears him, he's going to drive off. 2 laps later, Grant Enfinger's passing him back. They just keep going back and forth.
But I got to tell you, this has got to feel good for Moffitt as he drives hard down into turn 3. Sideways again.
That might have been 2 hands.
And you can see what it cost him. Yeah.
I think it's got to feel good for Enfinger too, Mike, because even though they do have those 2 wins, as Alan talked about earlier, they haven't been that strong in the other races. They haven't felt like they've put it together and really challenged strongly inside the top 5. And They are doing that tonight as you look at the 51 of Brandon Jones. He's running 15th, and remember, we invert the top 15 for tomorrow's race, so Jones running in that 15th spot would be the pole position owner
and then
in this race tomorrow.
That's all three of the KBM trucks running right there together. 14th, 15th, 16th, so they'll be wanting to grab a spot inside the top 15. You finish 15th, you're going to start first tomorrow.
Do you like that?
You finish 16th, you're going to start 16th.
Do you like the invert?
I love everything we're doing. I like no practice. I like the invert. I think that NASCAR has done what they've had to do to get us racing, and it certainly made it more intriguing for me, Alan.
And Jamie, you mentioned Austin Hill wanting this race to go green until the end. Remember, we've seen this scenario before this season. In Atlanta, Austin Hill was well on his way to victory until a late caution flag turned into a green-white checkered. And guess what? Austin Hill did not win that race. He says that's haunted him ever since, and he wants some redemption. Austin Hill driving motivated tonight.
Well, and ironically, the guy that beat him is in third right now, so he definitely doesn't want to relive that again.
And that's Austin's home track. To be able to win at your home track is the best feeling in the world, and had that one slip away from him. But man, what a truck they brought him tonight.
Yeah, and he looks really loose around the top right there, and he actually was about 3/10 off of the last lap time that Brett Moffitt ran.
Yeah, and those trucks behind him are catching up. Moffitt got around and finished off Enfinger, and he was the fastest truck on the track last time by, and they're only 2.5 back and closing a bit.
A couple of Thor Sport trucks inside the top 10. Johnny Sauter, former winner here at Kansas, running 7th, and right behind him, Ben Rhodes in the 8th position. Sauter is another one that has regularly been inside the top 10, but hasn't really challenged for a win this season. There's Brett Moffitt with Jordan Anderson. They're off to his right. Anderson is a lap down in that 3 truck.
Jordan's running in the 22nd position, trying to hang on to be the first truck a lap down, which he is right now. There's that battle for 7th that you spoke of, Vince. A couple of teammates.
Johnny Sauter had that horrible week last week at Texas where he had a 36-point drop. Had an engine issue, finished 33rd. Also suffered a penalty, a pre-race tech inspection penalty, so lost 36 points to the bubble last week. That was huge. Dropped him out of the playoff picture, and right now he finds himself 12th in the playoff standings.
That's painful when those points slip by, Vince, and he's done a nice job of hanging in there. Very competitive tonight.
Brett Moffitt has finally wrestled that 2nd place position away from Grant Enfinger. Does he have enough time to track down Austin Hill? As you look at our playoff standings and the bubble, with Derek Kraus in that vulnerable position, but 3 points to the good, with Tyler Ankrum falling out of the top 10 today because of the issues that he had early in the race. Alan?
Yeah, he's driven himself into playoff position tonight as you look at Brett Moffitt kind of scraping the wall there. But Derek Kraus having another good run. And I was talking to his crew chief, Kevin Bellicourt. We mentioned how he graduated high school recently. Well, at 19, the driver, Derek Kraus, still has homework. His crew chief, Kevin Bellicourt, says he gets in-car camera footage from each race the previous year and makes Derek watch that each week so he knows what drivers are going through. His crew chief says it's invaluable, especially with no practice, and we can see some of that work paying off tonight.
And I want to tell you, Alan, I love this kid. I love when these young racers get these opportunities, Vince, and they take advantage of it. That's a great shot of 2 of them right there. 21-year-old Zane Smith, 19-year-old Derek Kraus. They're both running inside the top 10, and they do it week in and week out.
Yeah, how about Kraus? And we mentioned it earlier, was supposed to have his high school graduation this evening, and he elected to come racing, as we would anticipate. He's also a terrific wrestler, been a part of the high school wrestling program there at Stratford High School in Wisconsin. Won a couple of state championships as a team during his high school wrestling career.
He wants to grab that top 5 spot away from Zane Smith and is on the inside. Nice run off the turn. This is a very, very difficult pass to make. Running that bottom lane, your truck wants to slip and slide. You get momentum on the top, but a great job by the youngster out of Wisconsin.
Kraus takes that 5th spot from Smith. Less than 10 to go.
There's a bunch of drivers, Vince, that are saying, man, I'd kind of like to have a caution flag, maybe get a chance to line them up and have a late restart. Every driver on the track.
He doesn't want one. That guy doesn't want one.
Except that guy. He likes where we are right this minute.
And if you're Austin Hill, you're hearing every noise that the truck makes and thinking, oh no, something's going on. Every wiggle of the truck makes you react that maybe you're going to lose it.
Absolutely, and when you think about the season he had last year with the 4 wins, they want to get that first win out of their way, and he's one of those guys, when he can win, this team is incredibly strong. And man, Vince, I think back to the season that they have had on that streak of 8 top 10s in a row before the engine problem last week at Texas, to then come back and answer with a victory. That's strong.
Yeah, and Austin Hill said this week that he had been putting too much pressure on himself to get that first win, and they just felt like they were squeezing a little bit too tight, and they had to stop and push the reset button and just say, if we go out and do our job and run the best to our ability each week, the wins will eventually come. And he was just saying that this week, and boom, right here they are, 6 laps away from maybe scoring that first win of the season.
And I don't think we can give enough credit to the team and to Scott Zipadelli. You know, Scott's the brother of Greg Zipadelli, a championship winning crew chief, runs Stewart Haas Racing right now. But everywhere that Scott Zipadelli's been, they have run so well, and he's found a home here. And you think about the championship they won, and they bring Austin Hill in. It has just been one of the stronger teams in the Truck Series, and they only have 1 team, Michael.
Yeah, and I want to talk about this cat, Austin Hill. When he got this ride, he took over for Moffitt in a championship truck. I think a lot of people question
whether one of them.
Yeah, whether he could go out there and do the job. He's proven that he can get the job done everywhere we go. Oh, trouble on the front.
And we are going to have a caution, I would imagine, although we're still green, as Jordan Anderson and the 11 of Spencer Davis collided, but still green. And the last thing Austin Hill wants is a caution, and Anderson is able to get off the racing surface cleanly. Take a look at it.
Great job keeping the truck heading in the right direction. They're battling for the 21st position and got together coming off the turn. And look at that, 3 wide. Davis sideways and turned into Jordan Anderson.
Wow, unbelievable that they were able to both keep it pointed the right direction and Anderson get off track and enable this race to stay green, although Brett Moffitt and Grant Enfinger, Matt Kraft and Derek Kraus, those guys were hoping for a caution, but not Austin Hill. His lead is stretched to 4 seconds.
Well, you know, the 23 and 98 were screaming that we needed to have a caution right there.
Well, right now they're yelling about debris on the track.
Everywhere. It's everywhere all the way around the track. It didn't look like, I saw a little bit of rubber come off, but it looked like it actually went down to the apron. So I don't know if there's anything on the track right now.
Riding on board with Moffitt, and you can see Hill well up ahead, about 4 seconds in front.
Seems like an eternity when you're running second. The leader's right out your windshield, but no way of catching him unless something goes wrong with his truck or we have that late caution you talked about.
Brett Moffitt chasing Austin Hill. Hill crossing the line, 2 laps remaining. Scott Zipadelli, the crew chief you were talking about, Jamie, was saying this week, he said a win would help me sleep a lot better at night. He might get that win tonight, but he's got to get up so early in the morning tomorrow.
Well, yeah, and then look,
he's not going to sleep all that well.
Think about it, it's the best scenario as a team when you can win tonight and know that you're running the same truck against all the other same trucks less than 24 hours later. So absolutely, tonight will be a great night for the 16 team.
The teams get a couple hours after the race tonight to work in the garage, and then 2 hours tomorrow morning to make the final preparations as Austin Hill takes the white flag. Less than a mile and a half left for Hill.
And Hill's got it on cruise control right now. He's not going to take a chance of slipping up into that outside wall. Just big lead coming to the checker.
They have worked so hard. Hill has worked not only as a driver and his skill set behind the wheel, but worked on himself personally. Lost 30 pounds, has studied more and more and become a better driver outside the truck. And tonight he does it from behind the wheel. His first win of the season, Austin Hill victorious at Kansas.
guys. You guys are awesome.
You wonder what it means, or you know what it means.
So excited. That's good for him. You got to love hearing that, guys.
I love it. You know, winning never gets old, but it sure is fun when you hear a driver that you can just tell meant the world to him to get that job done.
Well, and I think when you get to have the taste of winning and know what that's like, and then it goes a little while and you don't have it, it makes you appreciate it a little bit more.
Brett Moffitt, runner-up. Grant Infinger, third. Matt Crafton and Derek Kraus rounding out the top 5. How about Crafton, his 3rd straight top 5? You got to go back to 2016, the last time he posted 3 consecutive top 5 finishes.
You know what's the most interesting thing about that stat, Vince, is he hasn't won in 60-some races. By the way, he's the defending champion.
Yes.
He won the championship a year ago, so those numbers are adding up. We're adding up against him, but I think that team's in a great spot right now to contend for another championship this year.
I wonder if Austin Hill knows how close we came to having a caution there with 5 laps to go and maybe having to relive Atlanta.
Yes, the first, I'm guessing, of multiple wins for Austin Hill this season.
Austin Hill climbing out after a hot race. No burnout. He's got to save this truck and the engine for tomorrow, so maybe he can get his 2nd victory. You can see just how hot and tough the heat was on his face. Austin, you said win number 1. I had to do it on the high side. Describe this day for me.
Oh, man, it's awesome. You know, we've been working so hard this season. We've been running really consistent. Last week was a bummer having engine troubles, and I told the guys before coming here, you know, we finished 4th here last year. Let's go finish 3 spots better, and I'll be dang if we did it. But can't thank everybody enough at HRE, Scott and all the guys in the shop. They work their tails off week in and week out. First win with United Rentals paint scheme. That is awesome. They've been a tremendous partner for me throughout my career. So I've been wanting to get a win with these colors on, and so glad I was able to do it. That last pit stop, I tried to brake check a little bit and come out in 4th because I wanted to be on the high lane, and I got tagged from behind. That was my bad. I apologize to Brett or whoever it was that ended up hitting me, but I hate it for Scott and the guys. Now they got to go replace the bumper and get ready to go tomorrow, but awesome truck.
I think they'll forgive you. I got to ask you, though, in those closing laps, couldn't help but think of Atlanta. And when the caution came out and it cost you the win, what's going through your head as those laps are ticking off?
Man, really, those last 20 laps just felt like forever. I didn't think I was ever going to get the white flag, and I just kept thinking, when's the caution going to come out? And I started thinking, what am I going to do when the caution comes out? Am I going to choose the outside or inside lane? And, you know, how hard do I drive it into the corner with older tires? Just a lot of things were going through my head, but I'm glad we didn't have to do a green-white checker. I'm glad that it just ended like it did. The United Rentals Toyota Tundra was really fast tonight, but we do have some work for tomorrow. I felt like on the long run we were just way too free. I just had to really pedal it through the corner, but we were good enough tonight.
No caution, just the checkered flag, guys. Austin Hill wins.
First victory of the season, and that means he joins Grant Infinger and Sheldon Creed in the winners group, securing that spot in the playoffs. Derek Kraus moves in to that 10th spot, that bubble position.
We talked about it at the top of the show, how frustrating and how tense that position is. Stuart Friesen, the big loser tonight, down 45 off the bubble.